Yields. The gentleman from Massachusetts is recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I yield myself such time as I might consume.
The gentleman's recognized.
This is a big day, and this is a big deal. We're putting people out front and making good on the promises we've made. Lowering drug prices and investing in our climate. Mountain-high legislative achievements have we. The Rescue Plan, CHIPS, Science Act, and now this achievement for the American people.
The people, everybody, can finally expect more relief money from the federal government, and that's because the top lawmakers are finally pushing Joe Biden to create new relief programs. Now this will help families and seniors financially. Plus a new batch of checks being mailed out very soon. And numerous states are issuing stimulus checks and tax rebates to their residents, but few have been as generous as Colorado. The state of Colorado is mailing $750 checks and $1,500 for married couples to virtually all its taxpayers in a program dubbed Colorado Cashback. Many Colorado families are still feeling the economic impacts of the crisis, combined with the rising cost of living in the state. Providing direct payments is one of the most impactful ways to support state families, and Colorado cashback checks are hitting mailboxes now. The cashback payments currently are being mailed and are made possible through an amendment to the state's Taxpayer Bill of Rights, which requires the Colorado government to return excess state revenues. And normally those revenues are returned in the form of a temporary reduction in the state income tax rate, a sales tax refund, or a reimbursement to counties for the senior homestead exemption. But the current fiscal year only, legislators approved direct payments to taxpayers as a way to refund excess revenues. They also accelerated the timeline for issuing those refunds. According to a Department of Revenue spokesperson, the Colorado cash rebates are an early refund for the fiscal year of 2021 and 2022. The program will provide immediate relief to people in Colorado by sending checks this summer instead of spring of next year. Originally, refunds were expected to be $400 per taxpayer, but thanks to Colorado's strong economy, the payments were boosted to $750 per taxpayer. In addition, married couples filing jointly will receive $1,500. Refunds will start to arrive in people's mailboxes today and continue to be mailed out, rolling on a weekly basis through September. More than 2.4 million payments are being processed. And everybody, while many states have put income limits or other restrictions on who can receive stimulus checks, these payments don't come with any such things. They also don't require taxpayers to have dependents in order to qualify. Instead, anyone meeting the following criteria will receive a Colorado cashback check and be at least 18 years old as of December 31st or were a Colorado resident for all of 2021. Now, if you filed your 2021 Colorado tax return but moved out of the state in 2022, you're still eligible to get a check. Even those who don't owe taxes or who can be claimed as a dependent by someone else will receive a check so long as they file a 2021 Colorado income tax return. That's because the payments are actually sales tax refunds, not income tax refunds.
Lyndon Johnson was right. Yesterday is not ours to recover, but tomorrow is ours to win or lose. The Inflation Reduction Act headed to the President's desk, and give Joe Biden credit. We stand here assured that tomorrow is ours to win. We've had bold dreams in this Congress. We've delivered big on those dreams. None of this would have been possible without the dedication and expertise of the staff of the Ways and Means Committee, the best in the business. They've worked nonstop for 2 years for the American people, and today their hard work is on display for the world to witness and await the President's signature. The Inflation Reduction Act sets our nation on a healthier, fairer, and more prosperous path.
Security to give us timely reports on the incidents of domestic terrorism. And we say to them there are categories which the FBI has already established of domestic terrorism. In those categories, I'd like to spell out a couple of them to you, so it's pretty clear what we're going after here. Racially and ethnically motivated violent extremism, anti-government, anti-authority violent extremism, animal rights, environmental violent extremism, abortion-related violent extremism, and others. So those are already categories of domestic terrorism that the FBI reports on. What we are saying is give us those reports in a timely fashion so we can see the incidence of these forms of extremism and the commission of crimes. But there is one correction that we're making that is very important. During the Trump administration, they eliminated reference in this list of categories of domestic terrorism of white supremacist activity. The reason why it's important for us to include that is that we have the sworn testimony of the Director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation that this is a category of crime and terrorism in America that is metastasizing, his word, metastasizing. And so we believe it's important that we be given information about the incidents of violent extremism, domestic terrorism, that relates to this type of activity, this white supremacy. I will tell you, it's not an imagined crime. We see the reality of it way too often. We just saw it 2 weeks ago in Buffalo, New York. That shooter put his so-called manifesto on the internet and declared, among other things, his support for the Great Replacement Theory. The Great Replacement Theory is a thinly veiled white supremacist theory that tries to suggest that immigrants to America are somehow only arriving at the expense of those already here, particularly white Americans. That sort of theory has been out there since the days of the Ku Klux Klan and maybe even before it, but it is white supremacy. It inspired this man to do terrible things in Buffalo and kill innocent people at that grocery store. So we're asking the FBI, give us this information. We'll draw conclusions as we will, but that's basically it. No new crime is created, and nor is any new authority being created in the process. I think that is a critical element. But there's one other thing that is part of this exercise this morning in voting for H.R. 350. The majority leader, Senator Schumer, after the events in Uvalde, Texas, declared that we are going to try to reach out on a bipartisan basis to come up with legislation to deal with gun safety and safety in schools. His first effort to do this is this bill. What we're voting on is a motion to proceed to the bill. He has invited colleagues on a bipartisan basis to come forward and to offer their amendments in the field of gun safety and school safety. That's why this motion to proceed is more than just the bill I described. It is an opportunity for amendments on the floor. This morning I did an interview with CNN, and they talked about the fact that we're leaving for a week for Memorial Day to honor our veterans and be home and then return. Why aren't we staying and working? Well, here's a chance for us to make it clear that we are going to work on what happened in these terrible tragedies at Uvalde, Texas, and in Buffalo, New York, and so many others. So I'm appealing to my colleagues on the Republican side of the aisle. If you have any ideas, and I hope you do, for gun safety, school safety, and to make this a safer nation, this is the vehicle to do it. A yes vote on the motion to proceed to H.R. 350 is your opportunity to open a process where we can consider amendments. Senator Schumer was very explicit. He invited Democrats as well as Republicans to come forward with their best ideas on a bipartisan basis. And isn't that what the people of the country are actually asking for more than anything? That we roll up our sleeves and face this challenge, which has taken so many innocent lives. In the newspaper yesterday, in the New York Times, they did a feature on those wonderful little kids and the teachers who lost their lives in Uvalde, Texas.